The following is a short presentation on the points to remember when responding to a literary question, although many of these points are just as relevant for any type of essay that you'll be writing in your exam. But the following 6 points are particularly pertinent in the case of a literary essay. First point is without doubt the most important point, namely answer the question directly. Don't keep the reader guessing as to what you think, just answer it directly. Tell the reader exactly what you think in response to the question. We often talk of this as being the thesis statement, and the thesis statement not only includes your answers, it also includes the main points you're going to make. You're basically preparing the reader for your answer. The examiner knows exactly what you're going to write and knows exactly what your point of view is. The next point I'd like to highlight is the importance of developing your points clearly. This involves having well-structured paragraphs, obviously, but developing your points clearly involves a number of aspects. It means making good use of examples. It means using appropriate links. By links, we mean links to other elements in your question, but more importantly, links to the question. Why is this relevant? Make sure you're pointing out to the reader exactly why you think this point is important. The third point I'd like to make is assume the reader knows the story or the text you're discussing, you're writing about. In most cases, the examiners will know the books that you're discussing, but why it's important to do this is it avoids a situation in which you endlessly talk about the plot or who the characters are. We don't need that kind of detail because it isn't really analysis. What we're talking about here is analysis. You need to put as much information as possible in order to make that analysis possible, but please assume the reader knows the text. Now, let's have a look at point 4. And point 4 is about answering all parts of the question. Many questions you'll have to answer have 2 parts to them. Please ensure you answer both parts. Answering half a question or part of the question is not a complete answer, and immediately you've made a mistake. So that's an important thing. If there are 2 parts to the question, ensure that you're answering both parts. The 5th element I'd like to look at, I'd like to highlight, is the use of quotations. This is a difficult thing for a number of reasons. Firstly, there can be a lot to remember, a lot of different quotations that relate to different characters, different themes, different aspects that the author addressed. So that makes it difficult to use quotations. But when you use quotations, make them short and make them relevant. Remembering a quotation is fantastic, but putting it in your essay, regardless of whether it's useful or not, is not great. That's basically annoying to both the reader and confusing. So make sure when you use quotations, you use them effectively. As you don't get bonus points or bonus marks just for putting a quotation in. And if you're going to use quotations, keep them short. You don't want this endless sort of 5, 6, 7 or 8 sentences being quoted verbatim from a text that you happen to have remembered, because chances are that just one of those sentences is more than enough to make the point you want to make. Lastly, but not leastly, point 6 refers to your introduction. My apologies, your conclusion, the end of the essay, how you make sure you're answering the question. You need to be summing up your main points, just like you did in the introduction, and you need to be providing some form of analysis. And this can be often very important in your conclusion. There should have already been analysis in the body, not necessarily in the introduction, but the conclusion is the moment at which you can bring all those different things together and bring in a new focus into the points that you've made, linking them, and giving a sense of unity or completeness to your essay. So it's important that you not only sum up your main points in the form of a summary, but that you provide that analysis and you use those two elements to answer the question.